Next, a presentation from the Professional Development Committee. Nail a speech, launch a career. We are pleased to welcome back Mike Peters, Director of Development and Training in the Power Division of CB&I, where he manages programs in 20 countries. Mike has extensive experience evaluating enterprise training needs, recommending and executing training and development plans, and establishing comprehensive employee development programs. Please join me in welcoming Mike Peters.
Good afternoon to everyone. Again, on behalf of the Professional Development Committee, I'd like to add our welcome to this year's conference. Really some interesting topics. And before I kind of get into this, just take this forum a little bit to ask for some help from the folks from ACE, the young folks that got up here. I do as well talk to a lot of young folks, and I try and portray that our industry is cool. So if you can help to kind of portray that, some of the neat things you've seen, we have acts of violence that happen from time to time, as you can see, but also some of the technology and things that we use. You know, even mention the fact we used M&M as one of the presentations, but if you could kind of leave out the part that we had to close caption it to understand it, that would be fantastic in going forward. So again, nail a speech, launch a career. What does that mean? And before we get into this, let me kind of introduce you all to the Professional Development Committee, a great group of folks. For those of you that have folks in your organization on this committee, they do a fantastic job not only representing the industry, but your organizations as well. As we got together and kind of thought about this year's annual conference, and it is the 30th anniversary, which we've seen from all the signage that goes through, we started thinking about what can we do? What is a gift that maybe we can give back to the membership? So we started to think about this. We, in fact, did some research. We found that in the UK, the 30th anniversary, a typical gift is a pearl. We also found that in the United States, the typical 30th anniversary gift is a diamond. So that really lent itself to some good conversations around jewelry, watches, brooches, all those type of things. Manny unfortunately cut us off as being the keeper of the budget. Mentioned something about Texas's football record last year. They needed to invest more in their defense, so that got cut there. So we tried to think about what is it that all of us do. And really quick, just by a show of hands, who has to give a speech or a presentation, say, in the next 30 days? Just real quick by a show of hands. How many of you folks are actually looking forward to doing that? There's some, great. There's some like me. Again, you can do it, and it's very entertaining. But for a lot of us, public speaking is the number one fear that we have. Number two is death. So more people would rather be in a coffin than delivering a eulogy. So how do we come across that? How do we get through that in doing that? So one of the things we talked about is what can we give as a gift to you all to not only help your organizations, but help you all as individuals. Because think about, and I wouldn't say most speeches are terrible, I think most have room for improvement. I mean, you're watching one right now that's struggling mightily, but as we go through that and think about how as an organization we can do this, but also as individuals. So why does it matter? Think about the speech or the presentation you have to give. Is it to a client? Is it to your boss? Is it to your boss's boss? Is it to a board of directors? Is it to shareholders? So a lot of times we're judged not only as individuals, but also as organizations and how well we can communicate that information. How well can we put what we know and put that into a format that others can understand? And sometimes we tend to struggle with that a little bit. So when you think about why this matters to us, and this is part of what I'll get into in the gift that we're going to give you here a bit later, but think about how that presentation or speech is going to affect you and your organization. But why are so many presentations bad? I mean, think about it. And we've heard this a lot. Most of us in the room come from a technical background, right? We tend to have to give information or present information on very technical type of things. And most of the audiences we present to are also very technical in nature or background, right? So we've got very technical people delivering a very technical message to an audience that likes technical things. I mean, what could go wrong with that, right? I mean, seriously, I mean, that really lets it flow through and a lot of creativity come in. And a lot of times we end up with things like this. Now, I found this on Google. I Googled the worst PowerPoint presentation ever. This is actually number 3. But seriously, think about it. Now, some of you guys are looking at that, boy, a couple of colors here and a couple more charts. This makes complete sense, right? But think about it. Someone was actually trying to convey a probably very, very important message to an audience. They were trying to get their message across. And again, a lot of times for technically minded folks, it's very difficult to get out of that. It's very difficult to get, where do I stop with the information? What's enough? Where can I maybe anecdotally talk about some things rather than sticking it onto a PowerPoint slide, which sometimes leads to this, which we affectionately know, death by PowerPoint. right? So what are we going to do? What can we do about this? What's going to be our gift to you as we go through? We're going to offer a short course, a little bit different spin on what a normal implementation session is. Again, a lot of times it's information, it's sharing research, it's sharing all this. But what we want to do in this short course is offer an opportunity for you all as individuals to come in and maybe sharpen the saw a little bit. Think about what I can do, and we'll show you some techniques on what you can do to get better at giving presentations and speeches. In fact, we want to make you insanely great in front of any audience, right? In front of any audience, what you're going to do. So how can we go about that? Just to kind of break it up a little bit, we're going to talk a little bit about the elements. What goes into a good presentation or a speech? How do we design it? What's it look like? So maybe we can get a little bit away from the death by PowerPoint. How does it get put together? What's the flow of it? How does that all work together? How does that make it work? How do we deliver that message just as effectively? And last but not least, just as important as the delivery. I mean, think about it. I've been coming to these conferences for quite a while, and I very much enjoy them, but a lot of what I enjoy in meeting people and talking to people is the storytelling. We're all good storytellers. I mean, in fact, there's some great stories from the reception last night. And one of the stories I'm really interested in to see is how in the world they're going to explain the photo with the hula dancers to his partner Roy when he gets back home. That's going to be a challenge in what they're looking at. But think of some of the stories you've heard. Think about how it works. Last night, again, talking to someone, I learned that in a certain part of the country, a certain part of the world, if you're building a certain type of facility and you're looking what you're going to use in it, either Freon or ammonium, it matters. Well, it's very interesting. Why would that matter? So, well, in certain parts of the world, ammonia is used in the processing of cocaine. So if you've got a large facility that's got a large amounts of ammonia, you may need to put some security around it. Who knew, right? But again, that story really related to me and how we did that. Now, he could have showed that to me on a spreadsheet and said, well, here's the cost of this, here's the cost of this, here's the cost of this, right? A lot of folks say, well, we tell stories all the time. You do. In my office, they call those project reviews, as a matter of fact. But think about how then you can take really technical information and kind of mesh it into a story and be able to tell that story with the support of what you're going to have behind you. And again, that's what really our implementation session is going to be about. Nailing that speech, launching a career. So you guys ready for your gift? You ready for that? If you'll do me a favor, underneath your chair, you won't find anything underneath your chair. Remember the budget thing I talked about and the struggles of the football team? But what we are going to give you is quite simply this, a Beckman. David Beckman. Now, some of you might think, well, I remember the original issue of the Beckman. It's kind of boring. In fact, very technical. In fact, it was. When Dave started his career, he actually started as an engineer. He started as many of you, so very technical. But through research, through development, through training, actually spent some time in the seminary, he's learned to be a very, very dynamic speaker. As a matter of fact, he's got a great process, which he's going to share with you all in our implementation session about how to do this, how to put the speech together, how to put the presentation together, how to kind of organize that story and really be able to critically and tell your audience the message you're trying to get across. Because again, think about how you're ranked, think about how you're rated, think about how you're looked at on your ability to communicate whatever that is. So again, that's our gift to you from the Professional Development Committee. Happy 30th anniversary to you all. For those of you that are interested in picking up your Beckman, we'll see you this afternoon at 4:30 in Mediterranean 8. Don't worry, we've got plenty of them to go around, so if you can't make it this afternoon, we look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock or 9:10 a.m. again in Mediterranean 8. Again, on behalf of the committee, please enjoy the rest of the conference. We really look forward to seeing you all in our implementation session. Hopefully you enjoy our gift, but again, it's what we wanted to give to you all. So with that, happy 30th anniversary. Please enjoy the rest of the conference.